Hey, here's my new book that just came out, The Unofficial Price Guide to Video Games, The Virtual Boy. Now, this is pretty cool, right? And I'm happy with it, but why the two covers, right? Why the two books? Am I just showing you, oh, I've got more than one copy? No, no. This one, I did first. Cool. And I submitted it to Ingram Spark. No problem there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But once I submitted, yeah, this book is fine, I then decided to look into it a little bit more. And I realized there were problems. I spent $50 to get this issued and submitted. There were problems. And you're like, Jay, we can kind of ignore some of these things, right? We don't need the book to be perfect. You know, this is my second book. So I was thinking, well, maybe that person's right. However, no. You see, there is a table of contents, but there's no page numbers. Whoops. And the alignment inside the book with the gutters and the margins were all off. And I'll show you guys some of that too. It was a little harder to read in some places, so what I had to do was redesign the book, redo the interiors, and then pay another $50. So, it's got page numbers now. Everything's more aligned. It's different, but it's a good different. And I like where it ended up, actually. But look at, that's right. So today we're going to be talking about proof and why it's so important to do it. So how important is proofing your book before you click submit? Well, it's actually pretty darn important. Everyone's going to say, oh, you can do it yourself. Don't worry about it. And yes, if you can afford it, I highly recommend paying someone to proof for you. However, there's another aspect of proofing that you need to do before you submit your book. And that's actually making sure the interior elements are tight. You have your margins and your gutters are okay. You have page numbers. I learned that the hard way, actually. I released my second book, The Unofficial Price Guide to Video Games, The Virtual Boy, and I did exactly that. I forgot page numbers, the margins and the gutters are all over the place, all the interiors are all messy, and that cost me $50. And so when I redid it, now you have page numbers, you have good margin and spacing. That white space on the top and the middle of the book is now better. It's a little cleaner. I have some more division in the book, just more separation on some of the topics. This might not be your normal book that you may be writing. Maybe you're writing more of a non-fiction book. It's a fantasy, it's a sci-fi, it's a romance, it's a fanfic. Whatever the case may be, this is more of a resource, it's a reference, it's got prices in there. So it's a different book. However, the concept remains the same. Proof your work before you click submit. Right after I click the submit button, I then realize, oh, I don't have page numbers. Oh, look at this, the spacing might be a little off. Well, I'll figure it out when I order the book. So I think what I recommend here is a few things, right? One is have someone look over your book for you. Two, you can always pay someone to do the interiors and figure that out for you, but if you're on a budget like I am, that may not be the case, so you have to spend a little more time doing that. And then three, have a gap in between when you wrote the book and when you're going to submit the book, so you have a little time to think and a little headspace is freed up, and you can look at all the particulars. The bonus 4 is like, okay, I was thinking, what can I do next time for my next book to figure out how do I don't make this mistake anymore, right? I'm thinking about maybe printing a couple pages out of my own printer or going to a local print shop and printing out a few pages at a time in the correct dimensions. I might have to get a ruler out and cut it down and make sure everything looks good. Also, I guess number 5, bonuses, guys. This is what I give. is actually going to find the same size of book that you're going to be using, right? And this was a 5.5 by 8.5, I think, just a trade, right? Normal trade size. And go to a bookstore and find it that same size and bring a measuring stick, a measuring tape, a ruler, a caliper, the little app on your phone, the measure app on your phone, anything at this point, and start measuring. Where does the text start? Where does the text start from the top of the page, right? Where does the text start from the left and the right, and the gutters, where does it end? You can actually do all this measuring yourself. You can go on to some websites and they'll tell you as well. But I thought I did that, and it must have been confusing. I must have typed in the wrong thing in my editor that I use. I use Scribus. Perhaps I did it wrong, and that's what happened. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can go down that rabbit hole to make sure that your inside of your layouts look good, and you can test it before you spend $100 for this book, because that's what I spent. I did everything else myself though, right? Pretty happy about that. And then I went to Fiverr and paid for the font work on the top, but everything else I kind of did myself. So I'm happy where it came out. However, I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I made and waste $100, waste $50. That $50 I could have put to the next book. I could put that to anything else, literally anything else. So I hope that was a help. Please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, comment below if you have any questions or concerns, or like what did I do to fix it and how I did it. Thanks, guys.